Help, help, my train is down.
Okay. Good morning as we go to the Chitas of today. Holding Pasha Vayetze. The sixth reading of the Pasha, chapter 31, verse number 17. Yaakov says, Yaakov rose and he lifted his sons and his wives on the camels. He put the males before the females with Esav, he showed the modesty that Yaakov always called Kvudas Bas Melech Pnima. His wives were modest, didn't stick out, but by Esav was the opposite. And Esav took his wives and his sons. Yinag is called Mikneh, was called a Chushay, and he led all his flock and all his possession. Sharakshu Mikneh Kinyane. All that he acquired, the purchase of his acquisitions, Asharach with Padan Aram, which he acquired in Padan Aram, Lavel Yitzchak Aviv, to come back to his father Yitzchak, Artsa Canaan, to the land of Canaan. That actually what he purchased from the sales of his animals, manservants and maidservants, camels, donkeys, he was extremely wealthy. Lavan halach lagizas tzeinei, and Lavan has gone to shear his sheep. Atigna Rachel as a trofim. Rachel stole her father's trofim. Ashalavia. Trofim was his idol. Leaders Tzainei, he had given in the hands of his sons a journey of 3 days between him and Jacob. Atigna Vizracha Trofim, she intended to separate her father from idolatry. She wanted her father to stop worshiping idols. Yignev Yaakov's leave Lavan Aram Yabli Higid like Kivarechu, and Yaakov in a concealed from Lavan, the Aramanite, that he was not telling him that he was leaving, that he flee. Yivrach and Yaakov ran, so to say, he fled. Uvachala Shailai, he and everything that he had, Vayakov Yavas Anar, and he crossed the river, Yosnas Pana Har Gilad, and he directed his face to Mount Gilad. Yugal Laviyem Ashlishin, and the third day, Lavan was informed. Yivarach Yaakov has disappeared, he's moved on. But there were 3 days journey between them. It took him 3 days to find out. Behold, Yaakov has disappeared. He took his kinsman. He pursued him and took him a 7-day journey. And he overtook him in Mount Gilad. Rashi is the Achiv Kreva of his brothers, kinsmen. All those 3 days, during the time the reporter went to tell Lavan, Jacob was on his way. So he took the guy, the informer. It took him 3 days to get to Lavan. He got to Lavan, and now Lavan had to run for 6 days. Finally, Yaakov was 6 days distant from Lavan. On the 7th day, Lavan overtook him. You find the entire distance Jacob traveled in 7 days, Lavan traveled in 1 day. As they pursued him for 7-day journey, but it did not say it appeared him for 7 days. So Lavan was anxious to get in contact with Yaakov. Well, Yaakov was going with for like 4 families. They were traveling, women and children. It was a much slower journey. But the night before he came to him, God came to Lavan in a dream. Be careful. Do not talk with Yaakov Avinu, either good or bad. What does that mean? Why not good? Rashi says, all good of the wicked is considered evil to the righteous. So therefore, God says, don't talk to him. Nothing. Yasig love is Yaakov talker. Yavan overtook Yaakov. And Yaakov pitched his tent on the mountain. And Lavan pitched his kinsmen on Mount Gilad. What did I do? But Tigna is Lavali that you have concealed from me. And tonight, as Benesi Kishpur Chered, you led my daughters like prisoners of war. You captured you take them away from me. Rashi says, like captors of the sword, every army that goes to the war is called the Charev sword. Like you came through my house, and with a sword, you took away my children. Why have you fled secretly? You concealed, you stole from me like you got it. You got to lead and tell me. And I would have sent you Simcha. I would have sent you with Simcha, with joy, with Shidim, and with song, the Sefer Vachina, with drums and harps. I would have made a party. I would have made a celebration, would make a goodbye party. I think Ganaftis died to you, you stole my mind. You didn't allow me to kiss my sons, my daughters. You've done active foolishly. If I have the power, I have the power, I'm sorry, to afflict upon you badness. But the God of your father spoke to me last night. Be careful to talk to Yaakov and good or to talk to evil. Therefore, you're lucky. God saved you. The strength and the power in my hand to inflict harm upon you. Also, every Kala referred to deity means that his mighty has much strength. But now you have gone away because you have longed for your father's house. Okay, so I want to go home. Why'd you steal my God? You longed, you wished. Many words in scripture, my soul yearns. So you wanted to go home. Comprehend that. Why do you steal my God? Yaakov love him. The Yaakov answered, love him because I was afraid. Why you ask me why I left in the middle of the night? Because I was afraid. You're going to go. You'll steal my daughters. You'll steal your daughters from me, my wives. And Rashi says, Yeshiva Nishan. The answer, Yaakov Avinu, it says you have to answer somebody. You answer the first. If he asks you two questions, you answer the first question first. So you answer the first question first. I left in the middle of the night because I was afraid you're not going to let your daughters leave. And now you're asking about your God. To whoever finds your God, Yichya shall not live. In the presence of your brother, recognize my money. Go through whatever I have. And take what is yours. You say, I took your God. Whoever took it shall die. This was a rough expression. And Yaakov didn't know that Yaakov stole the terafim. So Rashi says, from that curse, Rachel died on the way. Be careful what you say. My mother Mishalach for yours. Lavan came into the tent of Yaakov. Leah in the tent of Leah. Then he went to the tents of the maids. He didn't find it. He left the tent of Leah. And he came back to the tent of Rachel. The Rashi says, Yaakov, who are you, Rachel? Yaakov's tent was the tent of Rachel. But Jacob was usually with her. And scripture says below, the sons of Rachel, Jacob's wife. So that was his tent. So the first he went to the tent of Jacob, which was Rachel. Then he went to Leah. And then he came back to Rachel. Didn't trust her, I think. When he went out of Leah's tent, he went back to Rachel's tent before he reached the tents of the handmaids. Why did he bother to do all this? because he was aware that she was one who touched everything. He knew that Rachel was the one who miserably did it. If it was one of his daughters that took away, it would have been Rachel that would have taken away that he shouldn't worship idols. That was the truth. But Rachel took these trafim, she placed it into the camel's saddle and sat upon them. And Yelavan touched it, he went through the whole place, but she was sitting on these camel bags, and he didn't want to bother her, as you'll soon see in a moment. The Karagamel expression of pillows and cushions. Like rendered, there was a saddle made like a pillow. You learn that they encircled it with pillows. So she took this cattle sack and she surrounded it with pillows, and she was sitting on the pillows. She was laying on the pillows. He says, I can't stand up. I'm laying down. I can't stand up. Because the way of women, I'm going through. I'm going through my period. I'm having cramps, and I can't get up. And he searched, and he couldn't find the trafim, but she was laying upon it. Yaakov got angry with Lavan and his father-in-law. Yaakov said, he said to Lavan, what is my transgression? What is my sin? That you pursued me. You pursued me like you chase on the mountains. What are you pursuing me? What have I done to you? Then you go through all my things. What have you found? What have you found for all the 10? I'm not taking a thing from you. Put it down what you put down on the table, what you found that belongs to you. And let's decide between us. Let's clarify who is right and who is wrong. I'm with you for 20 years. Your she-goats have not aborted. Neither have eaten the rams of your flock. Never touched anything of yours. Not only that, never touched anything yours, your flock and everything that you had always never had any tragedy, so to say. They have never aborted their fetuses, like miscarrying. This cow's you're young and does not abort. You had healthy animals, Baruch Hashem, because of me. From here we deduce that even a 1-day-old ram is called a ram. Otherwise, what is his boast? He did not eat rams, but he ate lambs. They just didn't touch anything. I never touched a thing of yours. I have not brought to your home anything torn by other animals. I would suffer its loss. If an animal got hurt, or a wolf came and ate an animal, was taken off, was docked off for me. The other tikva, it was stolen for if you would demand it. What was stolen? Enough to Lila. What was stolen by day and what's stolen by night. Treifa, what's a treifa? Anything that's torn is by a lion or a wolf. I would suffer its loss, an expression similar to I would not miss yachti. Like that yachti is also considered a sin. My son Solomon and I will be lacking chatoim. So chatoim comes to the word lacking. I would suffer loss as if it was missing. It was missing to me. And you would demand it from my hand. You blame me for something that I couldn't control. I would suffer its loss. Was missing and lacking from the count, and no man was missing. So that's the expression. Achatena. Ganafti yom, ganafti layla. What was stolen by day and what was stolen by night, I paid all. Ganafti, similar to what says Rabbasi amongst the nations and Prince Sarisi. Ganafti, it's an interesting expression. Verse number 40, I was in the field by day when the heat consumed me, the kerach balayla, and I was in the frost of the night. and my sleep wandered from my eyes. That's an expression: consuming fire. It was burning heat in the daytime, and it was icy at night. I didn't sleep by day and by night. For 20 years I was spent in your house. For 14 years I worked for your daughters. And 6 years for your animals. You changed my wages 10 times. You would change stipulation between us, speckled to the spotted from the rigger to the strip. Whenever I try to even get some money, you try to steal it from me. Verse 42, if it was not for the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac, that I didn't have, if it wasn't for God, you would have sent me. You would have sent me with joy and happiness. You would have sent me away empty-handed. God has seen my affliction. God has seen my affliction and toil of my hands. And he reproved you last night. That's the proof. If it wasn't for God, I wouldn't have anything. So I owe you nothing. Rashi says, why does he say Elokei Avram, the God of Abraham? He doesn't say the God of Isaac. This is we know this concept that we did not wish to say the God of Isaac, because the Holy One, blessed be, does not associate his name with even the righteous while they're still alive. Even the righteous have free choice. Everybody has free choice. Although he said to him upon his departure of Beersheba, I am the Lord, the God of Abraham, your father, the God of Isaac. Since his eyes have become dim, we said in that Rashi, and the blind man is dead, Jacob was afraid to say the God of, and said the fear of him. So Jacob didn't want to, the Abish, God said the God of, he says that, but Jacob didn't want to say, didn't want to associate, put God's name on his father who was still alive. The Yachayich, an expression of reproof, not an expression, but it's not an expression of clarification. Over here, that God reproof you. God should reproof you. And he did reproof you. He told you not to say. He told you not to speak to me, good or bad. Okay, we continue this Kuntilis, this essay number 4. And the Alter Rebbe is explaining us the power of a mitzvah, al pi Kabbalah, according to the esoteric parts of the Torah, what happens with a mitzvah, what we accomplish with a mitzvah. And the Alter Rebbe explained that the mitzvah that is physical, every mitzvah we do, like an esrog, is as repeat over here the word esrog. So the esrog is a physical fruit. And in this physical fruit, when we do a mitzvah with this physical fruit, is that we reveal a concept of godliness, which is in this fruit. Because dafka, this fruit, which is physical, has within it a nitzutz of godliness that comes from a very high place. And by elevating, we elevate that spark, and which is dafka specifically in this physical thing, and not even in any kind of spiritual concept. It's the spark of godliness is found in this physical essence. Let us understand how an essay derived from the 288 sparks that have not yet been purified. Since this physical fruit derives life and klippus neiga, it contains some elements of the 288 sparks of Toyu, which has not been elevated to divinity before the person does the mitzvah. V'chein klafat tefillin, so to the parchment of the skull of a tefillin, upon which the Torah passage is conscribed. Yam Shecher B'Keil Zeir Anpin can elicit light into the vessels of Zeir Anpin. And Nukva, Datzilus, and the Nukva that have already been purified and rectified to the purified in the name Ma Shal Shem Ma, so that they are state of godliness. How is it possible that this physical entity has the capability to bring about a light in the world of emanation? And I'll give you an analogy for the process of sowing and planting in this world. It's not that it's not the garden, it's not the seed, as we once explained in Tanya before. It's not the seed that grows, it's the earth that grows. And the proof is that the seed has to rot. So the seed rots. That means the seed becomes nothing. And through this rotting of the seed, awakens up something in the earth to bring out something that the earth has within it. So the earth had it within it before. The earth, the Eibishter created the world in a way. Why doesn't the earth just give an apple tree? The earth can give trees without planting, but it cannot give an apple tree. Trees are fruit. Why? Because the Eibishter so to say created the world, that in the earth is the capacity of an apple tree, but a person needs to take a seed of an apple, put it in the earth, the seed needs to rot, and then it awakens up something within the earth to have an apple tree. The seed stimulates the power of growth within the soil. What is the power of earth? What is the power? What according to Torah, what is that power? The power is the Devar Hashem. The power is the word of God. In the beginning of creation, the world was created with the 10 utterances. What was one of the utterances of the God's creation? Let the earth sprout forth fruit trees. So there is in the earth a power of godliness of Takshe Aretz. The earth has it within it from the time of creation. And then how do I bring about revelation of this concept of Takshe Aretz, that the earth should bring forth the tree? I take the seed, I put it into the ground. So the actual growth is not from the seed, but from the power of growth. The seed merely serves as an arousal. So that's the Sarusa de la Tata. That's the concept how Chassidus explains, an awakening from below. The seed awakens up the power of godliness in this earth. The power of Takshe Aretz. The power of that God said in the beginning of creation, that this earth should give forth trees. So this is the arousal from the below, stimulating the particular aspect of the power of growth that is found in expression within it. After the seed decomposes, this particular power becomes incorporated within the universal power of growth. Where is the universal power of growth? It's not in the seed. The seed decomposed. It's in the earth. Then stimulates the power of growth within the earth to produce the same sort of fruit tree as the seed that was implanted. And that's the wonder of God. One of the wonders of the Eibishter. One of the wonders of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how he created everything, how one thing works with the other. The essence of the power of growth is the divine decree that the earth sprout forth, which is the ultimate source of all vegetative growth. The God-given ability of the seed to arouse the power of the growth act. So the Eibishter created two entities. He created within the earth the power of this growth, but he created within the seed the power to awaken up that power. And that's the way it goes in spirituality too. Our Nukrim, our Sarusa de la Tata, awakens up a power above. The power above is there already. but it's not awakened. It's not descending. And through our Mayim Nukvim, the water flows below. So through the elevation of Mayim Nukvim to its source, the seed. That's the same example. Our awakening that we do in this world is like the seed that awakens up the power, the true power that is above. The seed whose source is within the power of growth serves as an arousal from below, from the recipient below to the benefactor. Although the seed that is planted can no way compare to the power of growth, it can nevertheless arouse its power, for this is its source. Right? Because where did the seed come from? The seed came from a tree that grew from the earth. So you need to put back the tree that grew a fruit that has within it a seed. Now you take that seed, which came from the fruit, which came from the tree, which came from the earth, to reinvigorate it, to give another tree. Because the seed, which needs to decompose, came from the earth. So too, the Mayim Nukvim, this lower water, which is physical, really its source is in its is in its spiritual, and therefore it can awaken up to spiritual. That's how, the same manner, you have to look at the estig, even though it's physical, you have to look at the estig as where its source comes from. It's not a physical estig, it's a bit of it's parchment, but where did its source come from? Its source came from Tayu. Its source came from a very high place. And ultimately, that's why the tefillin and the estig can awaken up, even though the tefillin estig is a physical entity, such a low entity, but its original source is from such a high entity, and therefore it has the power to awaken up that higher revelation. And the example that the Alter Rebbe gives of a seed is a phenomenal example. And also the concept that the seed has to, so to say, decompose. So we have to take the esrog and we have to, so to say, use it as a mitzvah. Now you're not allowed to use, once I take the esrog up here, or even the tefillin, once I made it into a davar shebikdusha, it becomes, it's not a fruit anymore. I'm not allowed to smell it. I'm not allowed to do anything with it. I'm not allowed to use it out for my enjoyment. It's a mitzvah. It has totally lost its identity, so to say. Its physical identity. And so to say, in a way, like the seed that needs to decompose, to awaken up the power of the godly energy that's in the earth. Oh yeah, again, this Kabbalistic word, sagema. So he goes to the Shem Sag, Samar Gimel 63, which is, we mentioned Sag is the itis of Tayu in Kabbalah. And we can create, how do we do that? Which proceed to transcend the shattering vessels. So Shem Sag is the oil of the shattering vessels. It's the oil of the shattering vessels that comes ultimately down into this physical world. And that's why it's a constant circle of events. Which is the very essence of the light of Adam, immortal man, as explained above. The Kaddim is the first visage and thought of the infinite light as it encompasses all creation. That's what's called Adam Kaddim, immortal man. Here is found. This is the vision of Ezekiel, the Maisa Merkava, the Ezekiel's vision in Kabbalah of the chariot of God. And the man, premortal man that's sitting on the throne, so to say. Here is found the essence of issues and not merely a radiance. Thus, divine name Sag relates to the essence of the illumination of Adam Kadmon. Shem Sag. The numerical value of 63, the way you compose God's name in that kind of value, which I showed you yesterday. And it's not a mere reflection. Shem Sag, so in Kabbalah, Shem Sag is a much more inner expression of God's revelation. And Shema Meme, which is 45, which is the composition of God's name that equals up to Gematria 45, is only which is the reflection of what the Metzach, the forehead of Adam Kadmon, so to say, the forehead revealed itself in a way of through his forehead. So it's not merely a reflection of the name of Ma 45, which is the issue from his forehead. All of this accomplished through the actual performance of the commandments of tefillin and essence. I go up. Through I do, Shema ultimately connects to Shem Ban, which is the 52, which brings it back. Because Shema is Adam, is man, is physical man, reveals the mitzvah, reveals the godliness in man, in the physical man, and returns it to its source, which is Adam Elyon. So we're a visage of Adam Kadmon. We are a visage of Adam Kadmon. We are Ma, and Sag is our visage, is Adam Kadmon. Premortal man. We are a reflection. When it says you're in the image of God, so Kabbalah says that what is Kidmusenu is Adam Kadmon, is in premortal man, the way Ezekiel saw Adam man on the throne of God, so to say. So we have premortal man, and then we have physical man. So essence of premortal man is Shem Sag. The ultimate physical man is Shem Ma. Because we're just a reflection. That's why it says, you're Oda Ba'alma, we're a reflection. We're a shadow. B'tzalmeinu kidmusenu, right? We shall make man like our image. We're an image. We're a photocopy. And this is Kabbalistic concepts explaining verses of the Torah, simple verses of the Torah. So in essence, by us doing something here, Shema, that's Mayim Nukvim, lower waters, we waken up the upper waters because we come from there. That's all that I'm explaining, but it's very Kabbalistic words. But in essence, there is the way man is above, there is the way man is below, and the way man below wakens up himself. He awakens up his true concept above. He reveals his true concept above in a very simple way. That's what the Alter Rebbe is saying. But it's Kabbalistic words. But this is what the Alter Rebbe is saying. We need to, in essence, awaken up our source above. Our source above is very high, extremely high spiritual levels, and which comes down into our being below. But when we reveal our being below, that's a loss. That's the concept of bringing up waters, Mayim Nukvim. When we open up the wells below, it's not only that we just open up the wells below to go above. We reveal our true entity above. And that's why an unbelievable amount of godliness comes down from above to below. As again, this is just, as I say, the Alter Rebbe is just using here extremely godly words. So not only are we just revealing a ha'ara, we're revealing a shine, array. No, we're revealing the essence. We're revealing the essence of what we are from above. The same so too, not only by doing the mitzvah, but by learning. The Gemara says, as we say many times, that by learning the halachas like you did the mitzvah. So the same thing is when we learn. When we study and carefully examining their laws, the laws regulating these mitzvahs, what do we happen? We awaken up above something that is extremely godly. What we do below awakens up a great entity below above. Why? Because the halacha, the simple law, understanding the law the way it's below, opening up a Shulchan Aruch, opening up a Gemara, and understanding what is the meaning behind the law, where does it come from? It comes from God. It comes from the wisdom of God. So even though that I can comprehend it the way it's below, but where is the source of this halacha? Who came up with the source of an esrog? So who with all the laws of an esrog, which there are many laws in an esrog, or the laws of tefillin, which there are hundreds of laws on how to make a tefillin and what makes it kosher, all comes from the wisdom of Kadosh Baruch Hu, comes from a very high place above. So by me learning the halacha the way it's written here in this world on a piece of paper, on a book, and I comprehend it and I understand it, awakens up a wisdom above. And it becomes a sarusa de leila, becomes a revelation above. It's not only that I understand the law here, but I'm awakening up through my understanding the law, through my learning the law, through my comprehending the law, awakens up the kalim, the vessels and the oidus of the world of Atzilus. Ad Lema Milas, so upwards with great heights, including Chachma and Bina Dasha B'Sai. It awakens up the wisdom and knowledge in the inner dimension of Adam Kadmon, premortal man. His wisdom, so to say, is awakened, and he shines forth an unbelievable shine. Which is this through the eyes of Adam Kadmon. The eye signifies sight. It notes the inner and essential divine level divinity, unlike the external act denoted by the forehead. Summary. Particular mitzvahs perform the physical objects, arouse their source onto the loftiest levels, onto the divine name of Sag, the level that transcends the breaking of the vessels. This is also true regarding the study of the law of these mitzvahs. Study likewise affects an elevation to the lofty levels, for the study of a mitzvah is likened to the actual performance. That's what Allah said. That learning a mitzvah is like you did the mitzvah. Learning the laws of a karban chatas is like you brought a karban chatas, like you brought a sin offering. And that's why we need to learn all the halachas, whether we can do it physically or not. Because in a way, by learning this halacha, this law, which we cannot do it physically, you can't bring a karban chatas today. But by learning the law, you have brought it. Because it accomplishes exactly like you would have brought it. You have awoken up the wisdom and understanding of the world of the way it's in kind of the most highest levels of spirituality. You have awoken up that concept, and you have brought it down to the world, which would have happened if you can physically bring a karban chatas. What happened? What however happens when one studies the law of prohibited commandments? What happens when you study? One cannot say that this study too regarded to perform them, particularly so with regard to those instances that do not occur in a practice at all. With regard to those that can occur, we at least say that if one remains passive and does not transgress, he's rewarded as if he performed the positive commandment. However, when the relevant opportunity does not occur at all, this obviously does not apply. Despite all this, was stated above, that that one should study the laws to even a greater extent than one studies the order of Ishtalshlus, even though the study of the latter leads to love and fear of God. Alter Rebbe now addresses this issue and explains there are certain aspects in study of Torah that is common to both positive and negative commandments. Simply studying a subject, even if it has no practical application, binds the individual to the supernal wisdom, in so much as this is the source of which all the detailed laws emanate. So therefore, it doesn't make a difference if it's a positive commandment or a negative commandment. But the point of the learning is to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Is to connect to God, the source of this law. And all the foregoing meaning, as how through the observance of particular mitzvahs and the study of the law, one attains the divine name Sag that transcends the breaking of the vessels. Seemingly, it's only by the positive commandments. It would seem that it's not particular as in the prohibitions and in those that are prohibited. I mean, those that are prohibited, I cannot do today. Well, that would make sense that you should learn it. But why don't you learn the prohibition of pigel, for example? The Torah says you're not allowed to think about, you're not allowed to bring a carbon and eat it 3 days later. Or even think that I'm going to eat it out of its place and out of its time. When I need to learn those laws, I can't even do that because I can't bring a carbon. So what am I gaining out of learning these laws? Practical, those that are not going to occur in practice at all. But in these cases, we can't even state that if someone remains passive and does not transgress, is rewarded as if he performed a positive commandment. You don't have it. You can't even be passive. I can't say, oh, I'm not going to think about pigel. I gave you an example of pigel. I'm not going to think about leaving the carbon over past its due date. I can't do that. I don't have a carbon to have such a kind of thought. Oh, look at that. Thank you, Alter Rebbe. And he said, I didn't realize. My brother Hilchos pigel. Look at that. Like the detailed log of pigel. Look at that. Alter Rebbe said exactly. I didn't see this. Alter Rebbe said exactly the example I gave you. So pigel is now, let's explain it again. Pigel is, the Torah tells you, for example, you have to eat a carbon, certain carbonis within the first day of bringing it. Some carbonis can have 2 nights and 3 days, so 2 nights, 3 days. So pigel is, for example, if I brought a carbon and for whatever reason I had a thought that I'm going to leave it over for 3-4 days. It's called pigel. The carbon is unfit because of my thought. So that's a negative commandment. To think negative about a carbon, a sacrifice, and this is whether the kohen thinks negative or I think negative, means I think it's called pigel. Pigel means it's disgusting. So if I have a negative thought, truth is that the only one who knows what a negative thought is me and God. And if the kohen also had a negative thought, the only one who knows that he had a negative thought, it's him and God. That's the greatness of that's a separate law, separate concept that the kohen will say, I had an evil thought. So now you have to bring another carbon. Imagine I bring the carbon to the base of Midrash. I bring the animal. I'm doing everything right. And we shech the animal. And then the kohen says, I'm very sorry. I had a negative thought about this animal. I was thought about it in a negative way. Whatever. The laws of pigel. Now I have to bring another animal. The animal's unfit. But l'chayr, what does it have to do today? What does the law have to do today? I can't bring an animal. There's no carbon today. So how can I think negative about something? How can I do this Avera? How can I do this Avera? I cannot do this. It's impossible for me to do this negative commandment of pigel, which is today, presently, has no practical implications. There's no pigel today. So why should these laws to be studied? Why do we need to know this law of pigel? Let's just skip this law. We'll wait till when Mashiach comes, the Beis Hamikdash will be built, and then we'll worry about Pigel. And in fact, even more than one studies in order to say that this, with the learning of Pigel, is more important than the learning of the concept of the way God comes down to the world, the love of God, the fear of God, the way He affects the world. Why? Which can arouse one to love and awe of God. So maybe I should learn, instead of learning the laws of Pigel, according to what I explained, instead of learning the laws of Pigel, I should learn to say the Shtalshus, the way God descends and ascends the worlds. Because that will bring me an emotional, at least. So why am I gaining out of learning the laws of Pigel? After that, but that's what the Chitas ends today. So I apologize that we're not going to answer it, but we answered it, and selfless what the answer is. Dr. Rebbe is going to say that the answer is because we're learning Torah, because even though it cannot happen today, it's still the Chachma of the Eibishter. It's the wisdom of God. The law of Pigel is the wisdom of the Eibishter, is the wisdom of God. And we are connecting to the wisdom of God, whether you can do it today or not. It's not that I'm learning Torah to know what to do and what not to do. I'm learning Torah to connect to the God's wisdom. And by connecting to God's wisdom, I awaken up my wisdom. And through awakening up my wisdom, I awaken up within the most highest levels of godliness, the wisdom of God, the way God's wisdom is in the most highest levels of godliness above. And that completes the Tanya today. I hope and I pray that you all learn Tanya tomorrow by yourselves, Shabbos, and Chumash by yourselves. Today is the 8th day, and the Tillim of today is 44 to 48. You say those 5 chapters of Tillim, you do the Chitas of the day. Wish you a good Shabbos and Mid Shem. I'll see you all on Sunday. We'll continue the new Pasha, Pasha Vayishlach, and we'll continue to learn the Chitas of the day.